Good morning. With this peace bowl, as we gather our hearts in peace, I'm going to begin with a story of bells. Last week, Art Gorski asked me about Christmas in Japan, and I talked a little bit about it, but I realized after we had spoken that Christmas there is mostly a borrowed holiday. There are some people who feel it deeply and it's a marvelous tradition, but the true holiday in Japan, the true tradition around this time is New Year's, a week after Christmas. This time is probably one of the busiest times of the year. People shop for the ingredients of special New Year's food, osechi ryori, and they get all the supplies they need to clean their house or office or school and make them shine. Everyone is cleaning during this week, mopping floors, washing windows, scrubbing bathrooms, washing cars. Often dogs and cats get a bath. And then at last, after all that cleaning, we wash ourselves, sitting in a deep bath for a long soak. Where we lived, the first snow fell at the beginning of December, which meant that by New Year's Eve, the world was covered in a deep blanket of snow, our footsteps crunchy underfoot. When we lived in the city of Kanazawa, we lived in the temple district with 70 temples all around us. If the temple wasn't famous, then only the priest and his family, after cleaning and cleaning and cleaning for that whole week, would invite a few neighbors over to ring the big temple bell 107 times before the strike of midnight. And then once, right after midnight, in famous temples, thousands of people gathered to watch the priests ring the bell. In our neighborhood temple, where we were friends with the priest and his family, we joined them in swinging the wooden mallet into the bell. This tradition, called Joya no Kane, was about eliminating the night and bringing in light. It was a purification ritual by which we were able to purify our misdeeds that we had done throughout the year. 108 times we rang that bell because Buddhism has identified 108 human faults. That would be an interesting sermon. I wonder which ones each of us are best at. We reflect at that time on the past year, ringing out what we want to leave behind so that we can start fresh in the new year. This morning, as we begin with the sound of our peace bowl, ringing it in at the end of a difficult year, with the intention to leave what we don't need behind us and to begin again. Here is a short video so that you can see just what we experienced in those minutes leading up to the new year. And as you watch this bell ringing, think about, do you have anything you want to leave behind?
個用好冇影相唔用 Flash。
Good morning, and welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Prescott, Arizona. I am Rhea Batterman, your worship associate today. We extend a warm welcome to all, and we are so glad you're able to join us, and we hope you are in good health and being careful and staying safe. We want to stay connected, so please join us for the breakout rooms after today's service, and this gives us a chance to chat with other congregants in smaller groups. If you are joining us for the first time, please check out our website for more information at prescottuu.org. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. We also would like to extend our thanks to those who have contributed and will contribute to today's service. Heather Knowles for her technical support, Mary Lou Prince for her musical direction, and our guest speaker, Vivian Komori, hope I got that right, and of course, our Patty. Although we are physically apart, we're still in community, and we continue with some of our meetings and activities via the internet. So please check out the Weekly Peak, our website, and Reverend Patty's videos for announcements. Today, I believe the Children's Faith Development will be meeting at 11:30 via Zoom. Yes, Patty's saying yes. So check this out with Bev Bostrom, please. And I'd like to give a big shout out to Dick and Nancy Shagru. They are going to be celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary on New Year's Eve. So lots of good wishes to you guys, and we hope you have 58 more. A big order, but whatever. Okay. If you'd like to see this service again, please share it or share it with others. Follow our link on YouTube, and you could also find it in the order of service or the Granite Peak Weekly newsletter. I'm breathing. We begin our service in the Unitarian fashion of lighting the chalice. And today I chose something that I hope will be apropos to our service today of letting go, and hope that we have a great new year ahead of us. This is a poem that I found floating around the internet, and it was written by a woman in Minnesota. Her name is Laura Kelly Fanucci, and it's entitled, "When This Is Over." When this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves in the stores, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, a routine checkup, the school rush every morning, coffee with a friend, stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, we were called to be, we hope to be, and may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst. Oops, here's my little thing. We light this chalice as a symbol of our heritage and gratitude for this beloved community. Oops. So it's a cockeyed chalice. And now, words from our Patty.
Good morning, everyone. As I was preparing for this service, I thought about our gathering a year ago. It was the end of the year, And we were looking ahead, thinking of different things we were going to do. I know many of you had trips planned. You had all kinds of things that you wanted to do. And then on February 3rd, the Diamond Princess cruise ship would anchor at Yokohama Harbor. And aboard the Diamond Princess were 2,666 passengers, 1,281 of whom were Japanese, and 1,045 crew members from a combined total of 56 countries. If anything, in the past months, as we saw what happened on that cruise ship and as the infections began to spread throughout the world, we have learned that looking ahead, there's much we cannot imagine. By mid-March, we began to have services on Zoom. The virus was spreading that quickly through the world. iPad. Another change has been I'm not using paper, but sometimes one's finger can do different things on an iPad. I will try to keep going. And now it is 9 months later. I am reading to you from an iPad. And we have reached the end of this year. If I could reach through cyberspace to each of the squares on this Zoom, I would give you stars. I would give you stars for the ways you have stayed safe and kept involved, for the ways that you have shown up for services. You've gathered gifts for families. You've put on an auction that was incredibly successful. You have spread joy through your emails to your buddies. And I am glad this morning that you woke up and opened up your computer and clicked on the Zoom link that Heather sent out. You have appeared. In our services, we speak of how we carry joys and sorrows, and there is so much around between those two things. There's irritation and anger and frustration and fear and anxiety. I wonder what your burdens are as we come close to the end of this year. Do you have burdens you could release today or over the next weeks and months? For Christmas, a book jumped out at me at Peregrine, and I always pay attention when books jump out at me. It was the Tao Te Ching. And so I bring to you at the beginning of the service, Lao Tzu's words. To hold, he writes, you must first open your hand, let go. And to sing, you must first open your mouth and throat and let go. And won't it be marvelous when we are able to do that all together? Now let us sing with the Granite Peak Singers, and they are all letting go inside those masks. My life flows on in endless song.
My life flows on in endless song, a lamentation. I hear the wheel of poverty, and there's a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ring. It sounds my soul, how can I keep from singing? What through the tempest round me goes, I know the truth it liveth. For through the darkness round me goes, something the light it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost heart, while to the rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven, how can I keep from singing? Time and tempest when they give, the bells of freedom ringing. When empty joy so far and near, how can I keep from singing? To faith excel and mountain high, my thoughts today are winging. When the shade around me flies, how can I keep from singing?
And now please join me in saying our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. And now I invite you again into the sound of this bell. And snow is coming, I hear. So we will perhaps have a white New Year's. I invite you to breathe. Let us breathe together. Let us see in our mind's eye one of those beautiful snow-covered landscapes, the snow on the trees. Let us breathe in the cool and clear air that blesses this place. Each week we gather together, bringing our joys and sorrows, and as I said in my opening words, our frustrations, our fears, all that is on our hearts. Today we have joy with the coming amazing celebration of the Chagrues at their 58th wedding anniversary. And we have joy that Maria Fleury's father's, his surgery was successful, and now he's going into rehab. And let us continue to hold Sue, the daughter of Anna Bess and Jim Robinson, and let us hold them, for there is nothing harder, I hear, than having a child who is going through suffering. Be with them. Let us also hold Dick Fox, Eunice Lovejoy, Janer Eldridge, and let us hold Karen Anderson and her courage as she continues to recover, as she reaches out. Let us hold her, and let us hold Cindy Pierce and her daughter. Let us continue to hold Eric Jarnigan, who is recovering, but still there are some difficulties. Let us hold him and his family in the circle of our love. And now, after I ring the bell, I invite you into a time of silence, at which time I invite you to say the names of those who are close to your hearts, even your own name of someone who would like to be held in this circle. David and Anna. Please join me in a meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we are here with much gratitude for 9 months that has been difficult and yet has brought us together. We hold today all the families. There are so many families experiencing food insecurity and feeling fear of eviction. The world has surpassed 80 million cases of COVID-19. The death toll of our nation has surpassed 330,000. We also hold the families of all those who have died, all those who fear death. We also hold those who have miraculously fallen in love during this time, the babies that have been born. In this time, we ask for wisdom. We ask to be able to see into our own hearts, to see what the burdens are that we are carrying, perhaps even unknown to us. And let us think of how we can release those burdens in order to create a more peaceful world. We ask for a new year, for a year when we can begin to heal this nation that has been rocked with such open racism. We ask to be a voice in this place, in this county, a voice for peace, and a voice that stands with people who are experiencing hate crimes and other messages of hate. We ask for courage for this new year that comes ahead, and we ask for wisdom to know how we can live out this faith of Unitarian Universalism. Amen and may it be so. And we are not going to sing, but I invite you to say the words with me. I don't want to sing without the piano. Walking, walking with you is my prayer.
This is the time of the service that we prepare to take the offering. This morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather together each week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. The Seeds of Support for December is the Martin Luther King celebration, and it is being sponsored by the Quad City Interfaith Council. And we at Granite Peak are working with them and other community members to organize these events. So if you would like to donate, please go to the left-hand side of the program, and please note on your check or however you give it, by PayPal or whatever, SOS or pledge in the comment. And if you'd like to do the Seeds of Support is the SOS. So what is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. And I would like to wish all of you happy and healthy and a better 2021, because we need it. Now, please enjoy our musical interlude.
One of the blessings that I've experienced with this pandemic has been that once a month, I am able to attend a gathering of friends, a spicy group of border activists, a group we have belonged to for over 10 years. Each time the group leader, Kathy, asks us a question. In April, she asked about something about the pandemic. I can't remember the question exactly. What I do remember is telling her that my image for this time was that the universe was telling all of us to go to our rooms for a time out. We weren't being good stewards of the planet, or you name it. And we needed time to think about our actions. And I have to add that that was a privilege for all of us, for many of us, most of us, to be able to take that time out. Because there are so many whose lives have been in danger and who have lost their lives during this time. But anyway, we did go into a timeout, most of us in this community. And the timeout worked. Do you remember reading about the clear skies that were starting to happen? We were becoming better stewards simply by not doing anything. With less use of fossil fuel, the air was clearing. Dolphins returned to the waters around Venice. Simply by doing nothing, we have been doing something. And I wonder what you have learned in your time out. Is there anything that you are learning about what you want to keep and what you want to let go? There are things that I used to do that I don't want to do anymore, that I find by not doing them, by not shopping as many times during the week, that my life is freer. I wonder what burdens, when we're alone, those burdens become even more burdensome. What burdens you are thinking that you want to let go. That feeling that I would like to send away and not carry with me into the new year are the feelings that I have now about our courthouse square that come from the experience of walking around that plaza on September 4th in the Black Lives Matter March. And when Mary Lou and Louie and I returned to the square about a week ago to make a video for you, I could feel the negative feelings rising in me again, a burden. And although I'd love to be able to release that experience, I know that some people can do that. I knew somebody who would just say, well, that's gone. But for me, I know that I'm going to have to do more than that we're going to have to do more than that to claim that place. We're going to be gathering, another gathering on February 14th as a community, inviting people from many other communities. But we might not be able to if the numbers of COVID cases are up. If that happens, we will need to wait. And we are realizing that we need to act to change the energy, the fear that is perhaps at the core of the burden I feel, to change that fear to courage. For it was fear that brought people out with guns. And we have lots of burdens to lay down on both sides. Like that old song, I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside. I ain't going to study war no more. Interesting that those burdens are so connected with war. But creating a home and dispelling fear is going to take work that I hope that we can engage in together, especially when we've all been vaccinated. For this will be good work, claiming Prescott as our hometown. This is the work of peacemaking. And I believe that finding a way, beginning today, and many of you, I'm certain, are in that process, that way to lay down the burdens that remain from the events of September 4th, and so many through the years. For those of you who have lived here a long time, there is a burden of that mural. There are lots of burdens I've heard talk about. And that doing that work of releasing those burdens is worth doing during these last weeks and months of our holy time out. I think each of us personally knows what we need to let go, or we are made aware when we think of things in our past, or we have an encounter with a relative. Often those things, we can't even adequately explain them, but we feel them. In Japan, we had lots of burdens. We loved it there, but we would always be foreigners. And sometimes we would go into the place where we had been residents for 20 years, and children would stop and point at us and scream. It was hard. And at New Year's, we wanted to release those things because we loved it there in so many ways. But in order to stay there, we had to keep releasing. So we made books, sometimes drawing out what made us crazy, what we wanted to release. And then we would write down what we wanted to do, what seemed like the most fun that we could have in that year. And years later, when we were packing and unpacking, we found boxes of these books, and we were amazed at what we'd been able to do. What was also interesting was that the things that we needed to let go, the things we wrote about that had been so heavy on our minds 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, had left our memories. Not everything, but most things. When Vivian Komori and I talked about this service, she said that sometimes instead of letting go, you have to let things be. So now I'm going to give the time over to her about letting things be and letting things go. And I wonder if you can listen, as you listen to the Beatles sing this song that I like a lot, think about what you need to let be. With the wonders of the internet, I have just been told that actually the dolphins appearing in Venice was fake news. So, but the sky of Los Angeles clearing was not. Here we go. It's going to be a wild ride into this new year. Vivian Komori, who I have been very happy to be able to meet with in the past week, came to Prescott at a very auspicious time on March 1st, 2020. She was excited to explore her new community and meet new friends. 2 weeks later, those opportunities were seriously limited with the lockdown. However, a new experience presented a new opportunity, one to explore herself and her dynamics with others at a deeper level. An entrepreneur, Vivian, has created several businesses over the years, some failures and some successes, and she is the recipient of an Athena Award. Her most recent passion, after several years on traditional radio, yes, the kind that you dial up in your car, has been followed by several years with a podcast, The Broad Perspective. She's interviewed a wide gamut of people, from scientists, medical doctors, authors, actors, and even royalty. As we enter 2021, Vivian Komori will share her insights with us. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you, Reverend Patty. I'm excited to be here. I'm also excited to say congratulations to the Shagrews, 58 years of wedded bliss. Congratulations, that's quite an accomplishment. And I would venture a guess that it probably involved some letting go and some letting be. You don't get to 58 years without doing that. And I remember one of the gentlemen that I've had the fortune to interview was a doctor by the name of Bernie Siegel. And he wrote books on laughter and medicine and love and miracles and so on and so forth. And on this particular day of the last time I interviewed him, it was his 54th wedding anniversary. And I said to him, "What's your secret?" And he said, "Well, out of 54 years, 35 of them have been good. The rest of it was just hanging in there." And I thought, you know what? That's very interesting. There's some wisdom in that. There's something for me to learn from that because, yeah, that involves letting go, hanging in there, letting things be. That's how you have a successful marriage. And I really congratulate Dick and Nancy. That's quite an accomplishment. And I'm sure you'll agree. One of the things I talked about a lot on my radio podcast, one of the soapboxes that I stood on quite frequently was that of polarization. As I watched as the years progressed, we progressively became more and more polarized. It hasn't just been in the last 4 years. Yes, the last 4 years really hastened things up, but it's been happening for quite a period of time. And while I talked about it a lot, what I wasn't paying attention to was my own self. And my own self was becoming very polarized as well. And so by the end of 2020, that which was leading up until now, here I am, just as polarized as everyone else I was talking about. I wasn't balanced at all. I was polarized. And I had to stop and think, golly, what's going on with me? Why have I become so militant about my belief systems and who I was as a person when all these years I didn't understand why other people were behaving this way? I had to take a look. And the things that's interesting that Patty talked about, I forget the date, September 14th or what happened with the Black Lives Matter at the courthouse, that was deeply disturbing to me. I wasn't a part of that, although I had had previous run-ins at the courthouse with the militants walking around with their guns and so on and so forth. But I was very disturbed, and I was getting text messages from people and friends around the country going, "Where did you move to?" And I have to tell you, I was asking myself that same question. What kind of people did I move into this community with? I really thought Prescott was going to be a very loving place, and I had allowed myself once again to go to this dark place. And it was depressing. It was very depressing to me. And I also had to ask myself, wow, why am I letting these people and these instances have so much effect on my well-being? Because I was depressed. And as I pondered this and went in and did some soul searching, I realized I can't let this happen. I just can't let these kinds of people take that much power over myself. And when I decided to start to release this animosity and this pain and this hurt that I was allowing them to create in me, things started happening. And I'm going to share a few of those with you right now because they were so profound and so perfectly timed. My family and I had gone to Cracker Barrel in Prescott Valley for breakfast one morning, and they were practicing all the safe things, tables far apart and so on and so forth. And we had a lovely breakfast. And we asked the waitress hadn't brought our check yet. And my husband said, "Oh, we'd like the check, please." And she said, "Oh, there's a man that paid for yours." "What? All of it?" "Yeah, he paid for all of you." There were 4 of us, my husband and my 2 sons, paid for all of us. What? We were incredulous. We couldn't believe it. Shocked that a stranger would pick up our tab for 4 people at the table. Wow. Just speechless. And we weren't sure who it was. We think we know. We nodded and thanked, and of course I'm shedding tears. And it was just such a moving experience. Well, what a kind thing to do. A few months later, I'm at Fry's getting groceries, and I had a gift card for Starbucks. Don't usually go there, but this particular time, I'm in line and I was going to take home my husband and my older son some coffee. So I went up to the gal and I ordered 2 coffees. And I had my money out. She says, "Oh, it's been paid for." What? It's been paid for. The lady behind me had somehow communicated to her she had paid for my coffee. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. These acts of kindness. It wasn't too long ago. I'm at CVS Pharmacy. And you can't go through the drive-through right now because they're doing COVID testing. So you have to go in to pick up your prescription. And my husband stayed in the car, and I'd left my purse in the car. I had money in my pocket. And I go up to the counter to get my prescription, and the gal says, that'll be $327. And I went, what? $327? I didn't bring that much in with me. I'm going to have to go out to the car and get my purse. The lady behind me says, I've got it. No, did you hear how much that prescription was? She said, I did. She said, I'm going to pay for it. And I said, no, I can afford to pay for it. I just have to go to the car and get my purse. I didn't bring in that much cash. She goes, I don't care. I want to do this for you. She paid for my prescription. By this time, I'm melting down. I think I cried for about 4 days on that. They weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of another kind I can't even describe. It isn't just gratitude. It's something I call incredible wows. It's just something that from that milk of human kindness that I needed to show that there are incredibly good people here. I don't need to focus on those people in the square. Those people that were behaving badly, they are not who's here. My instances with these kindnesses shown to me just randomly, not one of those 3 people did they ask who I voted for, what church I went to, did I believe in climate change? They asked nothing. And they asked for nothing in return. You see, they just provided a feeling that I can't even describe. It's beyond gratitude. It's beyond gratitude. It is a wow. It is something you just don't ever forget. And I know most of you probably that are here listening have done kind things. And I hope you continue to do so. My husband and I have always done them. To be a recipient, though, is something that goes beyond description. And for me to have had that experience of such kindness goes beyond anything I can possibly describe. And I'm going back to Prescott as a good place. Yes, we have our differences. Yes, we are always going to have differences. We have to let them go. When we disagree with people, it's the way it is. It's what provides variety. It's what provides the ability to stretch. And there's no way I'm going to let any politician get between me and people that I have loved for years because they think differently. That's a conclusion that sometimes through, again, those deep, dark nights of the soul, we have to spend to come to the conclusion that there's good people out there on every side of the fence, and we don't even need to know. We just need to love them and come from that place of appreciation. So I invite everyone listening today to be willing to experience those incredible wows. And perhaps you could be somebody that performs those incredible wows for somebody else. It's a great feeling. One I'll never forget. Those tears, I can feel them coming up in me now because it's deep, it's real, and you just come from a place of appreciation. I appreciate you, Patty. I appreciate the people in this congregation. I appreciate the people here listening. We can go into 2020 and we can recognize incredible wows and encourage us all to be open to them. And you're not going to be open if you don't let go. You have to let it go and be open to receiving. It's a great feeling. And I appreciate being here today. Thanks much.
Thank you, Vivian. I'm so happy you found your way to our community in March. Thank you. Thank you. And what is so perfect about what you, the experiences you told us is that next week, our children are going to be talking with us about kindness. So I think that Vivian has given you an assignment to maybe do one of those random acts of kindness during this week, because it truly can change everything, change the way we feel about this place. Thank you. And I wish that both of us, that we were medical doctors and we had in our bags, these 200 doses of vaccine that we had been able to bring just to this community. And that this was a time when we could announce the end of the pandemic. But we're still in this place where we need to be really, really careful. And so as I join Vivian in encouraging you in your acts of kindness, and as I look out, I see so many acts of kindness that I have seen happen in this community when we have people who are in need. And I have seen the way you have stepped up behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. And I think that this is a good thing to start with some strangers as well. I think it has the opportunity, as we saw how Vivian transforming our relationship with this place that we love, where we love to hike. And in this new year, I hope that love will guide us. And not that warm, mushy love, but maybe some of that, because I think we need that too. But that love that keeps us in friendships, in communication, that helps us be good neighbors and keeps us in relationship with our children, siblings, friends who are angry with us, who are drug addicted, or who vote differently than we do. And I have lots of relatives in that category, but I believe that that love is the love that will guide us through the next year. Please join me in singing with our Granite Peak singers, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace that's right us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot see like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can hear from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
On New Year's Eve, the bells will be ringing out the old year, giving us the opportunity to leave our missteps behind us and those of others that bothered us. We have an opportunity not to carry those on. And on New Year's Eve, I hope if you remember to think of those 108 chances that you have to release. Think of it. If the whole world did that work, I believe we would know peace. We could all walk down to that riverside together and leave our burdens there. May we all walk down to that riverside together in the new year. Amen, and may it be so. And now let us listen to a marvelous musical number, Down by the Riverside. Beautiful, beautiful. Did you notice that so many of the places that those songs were coming from had been places of war in Serbia and So we are going to extinguish our chalice together, but not the light that I hope all of you have to carry into this new year. Let us extinguish the chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.